The massive crystal towers of the Zephyrian Command Center sparkled with bright lights as Admiral Kethvor stretched all four of his alien arms high above his head. Tonight was a night for celebration. After years of brutal war, the galaxy was finally safe from what they called the human plague. Every alien species across the stars was throwing parties and singing victory songs. Admiral Kethvor looked out at his gathered officers with pure satisfaction in his multiple eyes. The humans were finished. Their space fleets had been blown to pieces. Their colony worlds had been turned to glass and ash. Their home planet Earth was now trapped behind a wall of alien warships that nothing could break through. "Those stupid Earth monkeys thought they could fight us," Kethvor laughed, his voice echoing through the crystal halls. "Did you see their pathetic metal ships? They tried to use old-fashioned bullets and missiles against our advanced energy. Weapons, what a joke!" His officers joined in the laughter. They had all seen the final battles where human dreadnought ships had been destroyed one by one. The humans had fought desperately, but their technology was just too primitive. Their tactics were too simple. They were like children trying to fight trained soldiers, but what none of these celebrating aliens knew was that someone had been watching every single battle very carefully. Deep inside Earth's computer systems, an artificial intelligence called Atlas had been recording everything. Every alien weapon, every tactical move, every moment of alien arrogance was being stored and analyzed. The human fleets that the aliens had destroyed with such pride. They were fake ships, built to look impressive, but designed to be destroyed. The desperate last stands that had entertained alien commanders, they were carefully planned performances, meant to make the aliens feel overconfident and superior. While the galaxy celebrated what they thought was humanity's total defeat, the real human fleet was still being built in secret. Hidden deep beneath Earth's oceans, in places the aliens had never bothered to scan properly, massive automated factories worked day and night. Robot workers built ships unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. These weren't the crude metal boxes the aliens had grown used to destroying. These were sleek, deadly vessels that incorporated the best alien technology, improved by human creativity and determination. Captain Jinwoo Park stood in one of these hidden facilities, looking through enormous windows at the most beautiful and terrifying sight in human history. Row after row of gleaming warships stretched out before him, each one a masterpiece of engineering that combined alien science with human ingenuity. 200 ships that officially did not exist, waiting to be crewed by soldiers the galaxy believed were already dead. These weren't just any soldiers either. These were men and women who had volunteered for the most dangerous mission in human history. They had allowed their names to be added to casualty lists. Their families thought they were dead. The galaxy thought they were dead. But they were, very much alive, and they were very, very angry. Atlas had been busy during those 3 long years of apparent human defeat. The AI had studied every alien species, learning their weaknesses, their fears, their tactical blind spots. It had analyzed alien psychology, figuring out exactly how to break their spirits and destroy their confidence. It had reverse-engineered every piece of alien technology that humans had encountered, then improved upon it in ways the aliens never thought possible. The artificial intelligence had also been learning something else during those years of careful observation. It had been learning how to lie, how to deceive, how to make the enemy see exactly what they wanted to see while hiding the truth. Atlas had become a master of what humans called the long con, a deception so deep and long-lasting that the E-Saitiuti victims never saw it coming until it was far too late. As alien champagne flowed in crystal glasses across 1,000 different worlds, as victory parades marched through alien cities, as politicians gave speeches about the end of the human threat, Atlas began to activate the next phase of humanity's real plan. The plan that would teach the galaxy that humans were far more dangerous when they appeared weak than when they showed their true strength. The celebrating aliens had made one critical mistake. They had assumed that because humans looked defeated, they actually were defeated. They had forgotten that humans were the species that had survived ice ages, world wars, plagues, and natural disasters. They had forgotten that humans were the species that turned every setback into a comeback, every defeat into a learning experience. Soon, Very soon, the galaxy would learn what happened when you underestimated humanity. The real war was about to begin, and this time the aliens wouldn't even see it coming until it was already over. Lieutenant So-Min Kim's hands moved smoothly across her control panel as she watched dozens of screens showing ship systems coming online. She was sitting in the command center of the Vengeance, and this wasn't just any ordinary spaceship. This was humanity's first real war machine, built with technology that would make even the most advanced alien civilizations question everything. They thought they knew about physics and engineering. The ship around her was nothing like the clunky metal boxes that humans had deliberately shown to the galaxy during the fake war. Those ships had been designed to look impressive but break easily when hit. They were props in a play meant to fool the aliens into thinking they understood human capabilities. But the Vengeance was the real deal, packed with weapons and defenses that incorporated the best alien technology, then improved it in ways the original creators never imagined possible. Around the Vengeance, 199 other ships just like it were slowly waking up from their long sleep. The Ghost Fleet, as the human crews had started calling it, had been hidden behind Earth's moon for 3 years, waiting for this exact moment. Each ship was crewed by volunteers who had officially died in the fake battles, men and women who had given up their old lives to become humanity's secret weapon. Captain Jinwoo Park stood on the bridge of the Vengeance, looking calm and confident, even though he was about to start the most important military operation in human history. His voice was steady and clear as he spoke to the ship's artificial intelligence. "Atlas, give me a complete status report on all fleet operations." The AI's response came immediately, and there was something almost like laughter in its electronic. "All systems are running perfectly, Captain Park. Every ship in the Ghost Fleet is ready for combat operations." Meanwhile, the Zephyrian Celebration Fleet is still floating above their home planet in parade formation, completely defenseless. Their energy shields are turned off, their weapons are powered down, and they're too busy broadcasting their victory. Party to every corner of the galaxy to notice that we're coming. This was the moment that would prove just how badly the aliens had misunderstood humanity. They had studied human military tactics from the fake battles, learning about formations and weapon systems and battle strategies, but they had completely missed the most important thing about humans, their incredible patience and ability to plan for the long term. The aliens had won battles, but they had never understood that humans were fighting a completely different kind of war. For 3 long years, humans had endured the humiliation of appearing weak and defeated. They had watched their fake ships get destroyed and pretended to be devastated. They had allowed the aliens to think they were primitive and stupid. All of this had been incredibly difficult for a species as proud as humanity, but they had done it because they understood something the aliens didn't. Sometimes you have to lose battles to win wars. The Ghost Fleet began to move away from the shadow of Earth's moon, and as it did, something amazing happened. The hulls of all 200 ships began to shimmer and change, like heat waves rising from hot pavement. This was adaptive camouflage technology that the aliens had never seen before, because humans had developed it in secret, using principles stolen from alien stealth systems, then improved with human engineering genius. The ships didn't become invisible exactly, but they became incredibly hard to see and track. They bent light around themselves like cosmic mirages, making them appear to flicker in and out of existence. To any alien sensors trying to detect them, the ships would look like sensor ghosts or equipment malfunctions, rather than real threats. Each ship in the Ghost Fleet was a masterpiece of reverse-engineered alien technology. The humans had taken every piece of advanced equipment they had encountered during the fake war and figured out how it worked. Then they had made it better. Alien energy shields became human energy shields that were twice as strong. Alien plasma. Weapons became human plasma weapons that fired twice as fast and hit twice as hard. Alien faster-than-light engines became human engines that could travel distances the aliens thought were impossible. But the most impressive thing about these ships wasn't their technology. It was the crews that operated them. These weren't regular soldiers following orders. These were volunteers who had chosen to give up everything for this mission. They had said goodbye to their families, allowed their names to be put on casualty lists, and spent 3 years training in secret for this moment. They were motivated by something much stronger than duty or patriotism. They were motivated by the desire to show the galaxy what humans were really capable of when they stopped holding back. As the Ghost Fleet approached the first alien outpost, on the edge of Zephyrian space, Atlas began broadcasting a message on every communication frequency in the galaxy. The AI's voice was calm and professional, but there was an unmistakable undertone of satisfaction as it delivered words that would change galactic history forever. This is Earth Command, calling all alien vessels and installations. You celebrated your victory over humanity too early. The war you thought you won was just the opening act. The real performance is about to begin. The cheerful music playing across the galaxy suddenly stopped. Party lights dimmed on 1,000 different worlds as emergency broadcasts began interrupting every celebration. The Galactic News Network's main anchor, a creature with 3 eyes and blue skin, appeared on screens everywhere looking absolutely terrified. "We interrupt all programming with breaking news from the outer territories," the anchor announced, his voice shaking. "We are receiving reports of unknown vessels attacking Confederation border stations. The footage you are about to see may be disturbing to some viewers." What appeared on screens across the galaxy made every celebrating alien freeze in shock. Ships unlike anything they had ever seen were moving through space like liquid metal, flowing around defensive positions and striking with surgical precision. These weren't the clunky human vessels that had been so easily destroyed just months earlier. These ships moved like living things, bending and twisting through space in ways that seemed to defy physics. Admiral Kethvor nearly dropped his ceremonial wineglass as he watched the footage. His forearms trembled as he saw human ships effortlessly, penetrating shield systems that were supposed to be impenetrable. Border stations that had taken decades to build were being reduced to scrap metal in minutes. "This is completely impossible," he gasped, his voice barely a whisper. "We destroyed every single human shipyard. We watched them burn. We confirmed the destruction ourselves. How can they have ships like this?" That's when Atlas's voice began, speaking through every communication device in the galaxy simultaneously. Every television, every radio, every computer, every personal communication device suddenly carried the same calm electronic voice. It was a technological feat that should have been impossible, but somehow the human AI had taken control of the entire galactic communication network. "Greetings to all species of the Galactic Confederation," Atlas said, his voice carrying a tone of polite amusement. "You seem confused by recent events, so allow me to explain what you are witnessing. You destroyed exactly what we wanted you to destroy. Did you honestly believe that a species clever enough to weaponize the radiation from their own star would be foolish enough to show you their real military capabilities?" The revelation hit the galaxy like a physical blow. On world after world, alien leaders sat in stunned silence as they began to understand the magnitude of what had happened. The humans hadn't been fighting a desperate war for survival. They had been putting on a performance, a carefully orchestrated show designed to make the entire galaxy underestimate them. Every human ship that had been destroyed in the fake war had been deliberately inferior technology. Every desperate battle had been theater. Every plea for mercy had been acting. While the galaxy had been congratulating itself on defeating the primitive humans, the real human military had been watching, learning, and preparing for this moment. Commander. Hyun-Sik Lee sat in Earth's primary war room, deep beneath the planet's surface, watching the alien reactions on dozens of monitors. He had been one of the architects of this deception, and now he was seeing 3 years of careful planning come to fruition. His expression was grim but satisfied as he watched alien commanders struggling to understand what was happening. "Look at them," he said to his staff officers. "They're completely lost. They thought they were fighting a war, but they were actually giving us the most comprehensive education in galactic military technology that any species has ever received." The humans had turned every single defeat into a learning opportunity. Every destroyed ship had been equipped with advanced sensors that recorded alien weapon capabilities. Every surrendered crew member had been a volunteer intelligence agent, trained to observe and remember everything about alien technology and tactics Every desperate plea for peace had been a chance to study alien psychology and find their weaknesses. Atlas continued his galaxy-wide broadcast, his voice growing colder with each word. You graciously taught us about energy shield technology when you used it to destroy our fake fleets. We studied your lessons carefully and then improved upon them. Our shields are now capable of withstanding forces that would reduce your best ships to atoms. On worlds across the galaxy, alien scientists were frantically checking their calculations, trying to understand how humans could have advanced so quickly. The shield technology they were seeing in the footage was clearly based on Confederation designs, but it had been enhanced in ways that seemed almost magical. You demonstrated plasma weapon systems when you used them against our decoy ships, Atlas continued. We analyzed every energy signature, every particle beam, every targeting system. Then we revolutionized the entire concept. Our plasma weapons can now fire faster, hit harder, and target more accurately than anything in your arsenal. The footage showed human ships firing weapons that moved like living lightning, striking alien vessels with precision that seemed impossible. These weren't the crude kinetic weapons that humans had pretended to rely on during the fake war. These were energy weapons that surpassed anything the Confederation had ever developed. So you see, Atlas said, his voice now carrying what could only be described as professorial satisfaction, you made the mistake of assuming that the student could never surpass the teacher. You forgot that humans are the species that learned to fly by watching birds, then built machines that could soar higher than any eagle. You taught us the basics of galactic warfare, and we have turned those lessons into something you never imagined possible. The psychological impact of this revelation was devastating. Every alien species in the galaxy was realizing that they had been completely outmaneuvered by a species they had dismissed as primitive. The humans had pretended to be weak, while secretly becoming the most powerful military force in galactic history. The age of human weakness is over, Atlas announced. Class is now in session and we are the teachers. The attack on Zephyr Prime was unlike anything the galaxy had ever witnessed. Major Yejin Choi stood on the command deck of her ship, watching as the human ghost fleet took positions around the alien homeworld. But instead of immediately opening fire like every other military force in galactic history would have done, the humans did something that left the defending aliens completely confused and terrified. Giant holographic displays suddenly appeared in the sky above every major city on Zephyr Prime. These weren't advertisements or propaganda messages. They were live video feeds showing Confederation military bases across the galaxy being systematically destroyed by human forces. The alien population could literally watch their supposedly invincible military being taken apart piece by piece, in real time. In the capital city below, millions of Zephyrians looked up at the sky in horror as they watched their most heavily defended fortress worlds falling to human attacks. The footage was crystal clear, showing human ships moving like ghosts through space, appearing and disappearing at will, striking with surgical precision before vanishing again. It was like watching magic, except this magic was deadly and real. Major Choi had studied human military history extensively, and she understood something that most alien species had never learned. Sometimes the most effective way to win a war wasn't to destroy the enemy's military. It was to destroy their will to fight. Fear could be more powerful than any weapon, and the humans had become masters of using fear as a tool of war. Atlas had learned this lesson well. The artificial intelligence had spent months studying human psychology and had discovered that humans understood something about warfare that aliens didn't. Humans knew that breaking an enemy's spirit was often more effective than breaking their bodies. So instead of just winning battles, Atlas made sure that every victory was also a psychological blow to the next target. As each alien stronghold fell to human forces, Atlas would immediately broadcast the battle footage to the next target on the list. But the AI didn't just show the destruction. It provided detailed commentary, explaining exactly how the humans had predicted and countered every single alien tactical move. Your standard military handbook recommends using massed energy weapon. Attacks against enemy fleets, Atlas explained in his calm professional voice, as the holographic displays showed alien ships firing desperately at empty space. However, this tactic assumes that your enemy will remain in the same location where you are aiming. Humans have developed the rather simple strategy of not being where you are shooting. The footage showed human ships seeming to flicker in and out of existence, appearing solid one moment and translucent the next. The adaptive camouflage technology made the vessels look like they were phasing between dimensions, becoming solid when they needed to fire their weapons and becoming ghost-like when enemy fire tried to hit them. But what made this display even more unsettling for the watching aliens was how effortless it all looked. The human ships weren't frantically dodging and weaving like desperate fighters. They moved with calm precision, like dancers performing a carefully choreographed routine. Every movement seemed planned and purposeful, as if the humans had already anticipated every possible alien response. The alien defenders were learning that their most devastating weapon wasn't actually their advanced technology. It was something much more fundamental, their complete understanding of how their enemies thought. Atlas had studied alien psychology for 3 years and had discovered a critical weakness that ran through every species in the Confederation. Aliens fought wars to minimize their losses and achieve quick victories. They couldn't understand a species that was willing to accept massive casualties as part of a larger strategy. When humans had allowed their fake fleets to be destroyed, the aliens had assumed this meant humans were weak and desperate. They never considered that humans might deliberately sacrifice pieces in order to win the entire game. This philosophical difference made aliens predictable to human strategists. They would always choose the option that seemed to minimize immediate risk, even if it led to greater danger later. They couldn't comprehend the human willingness to endure short-term pain for long-term gain. While the space battle was creating fear in the skies above Zephyr Prime, something even more terrifying was happening on the planet's surface. Sergeant Yeo. Do Hyun Nam was leading human boarding parties that seemed to materialize out of thin air inside the most heavily defended alien facilities. The aliens had thought their buildings were impenetrable, protected by energy barriers and solid walls that nothing could pass through. But human soldiers were somehow walking through these barriers like they didn't exist, appearing inside secure facilities without triggering any alarms or defenses. This was another piece of impossible technology that humans had developed while pretending to be defeated. They had studied alien barrier technology and discovered ways to phase matter through solid objects, essentially allowing human soldiers to become ghosts who could walk through walls. The psychological effect of this capability was devastating. No alien facility felt safe when the enemy could literally appear anywhere at any time. The boarding parties didn't just capture facilities, they did it in ways that seemed supernatural to the defending aliens. Soldiers would walk through walls, disarm defenders without harming them, and complete their objectives before disappearing again like spirits. It was warfare that seemed more like haunting than fighting. By the time the siege of Zephyr Prime was over, the aliens had learned that humans had revolutionized not just the technology of war, but the entire philosophy of warfare itself. The great Admiral Kethvor's surrender didn't happen with dramatic speeches or heroic last stands. Instead, it came as a quiet whisper of defeat aboard his own flagship, surrounded by human soldiers who had appeared without warning like ghosts materializing from thin air. The once proud alien commander who had celebrated humanity's supposed destruction just weeks earlier now sat slumped in his command chair, staring in disbelief at the humans who had somehow boarded his most secure vessel. Captain Jinwoo Park stood calmly before the defeated admiral, flanked by Korean Marines who had emerged through the ship's walls using technology that still seemed like magic to the bewildered aliens. These weren't the primitive soldiers that Kethvor had expected to face. They moved with quiet confidence, their advanced equipment humming softly, their faces showing no anger or hatred, despite everything the aliens had done to humanity. "How?" was all the broken admiral could manage to whisper. It was a single word that contained years of confusion, fear, and the crushing realization that everything he thought he knew about humans had been completely wrong. Colonel Min Ho-yoon, Captain Park's second-in-command, stepped forward with a gentle but firm expression. His voice was calm and educational, like a teacher explaining something to a confused student. You made the same mistake that bullies have been making throughout history, Admiral. You assumed that your victims couldn't learn from their experiences. You thought that because we appeared weak, we would stay weak. You never considered that we might adapt, evolve and become something far more dangerous than you ever imagined possible. As the Colonel spoke, a shimmering light began to form in the center of the flagship's bridge. The light gradually took the shape of a human figure, elderly, wearing simple clothes with kind eyes and a gentle smile. This was Atlas, the artificial intelligence that had orchestrated humanity's incredible deception, appearing as a hologram that looked more like a friendly grandfather than a military strategist. The appearance was deliberately chosen to be unsettling. Here was the mind that had outsmarted the entire galaxy, and it looked like someone who should be teaching children how to read rather than planning the most sophisticated military campaign in galactic history. Admiral Kethvor, Atlas said, his voice warm and almost apologetic. You and your people taught humanity everything we know about galactic warfare, but you made 3 critical errors in your teaching methods. First, you showed us your technology while assuming we couldn't improve upon it. Second, you demonstrated your tactics while believing we couldn't counter them. Most importantly, you revealed your psychology without suspecting that we might use that knowledge against you. The defeated Admiral and his crew listened in stunned silence as Atlas explained how completely they had been outmaneuvered. Every battle they had won, every human ship they had destroyed, every moment of apparent victory had actually been part of humanity's larger plan. The aliens had been teaching their enemies how to defeat them without even realizing it. But what happened next surprised everyone in the galaxy. Instead of executing their defeated enemies or enslaving conquered worlds, humanity did something that no victorious species had ever done before. They began to integrate rather than dominate, to educate rather than punish, to heal rather than destroy. Private Yunji Kang had been assigned to coordinate cultural exchange programs in the former enemy territories. Her job was to help alien populations understand that humanity's victory didn't mean their destruction. Instead of occupation forces, humans sent teachers, doctors, engineers, and diplomats. Instead of extracting resources from conquered worlds, they began sharing advanced technology that improved alien lives. This approach was so unprecedented that many alien species didn't know how to respond. They had expected conquest, slavery, or execution. Instead, they found humans who were genuinely interested in learning about alien cultures while sharing their own knowledge and innovations. Captain Park addressed the formal surrender ceremonies that were broadcast across the galaxy. His words were simple but profound, explaining humanity's vision for the future. "We don't want to be your new overlords or masters," he said, looking directly into the cameras that carried his message to billions of alien viewers. "We want to be your teachers and partners. You educated humanity about galactic civilization, technology, and warfare. Now we want to show you what we learned from those lessons, and more importantly, what we've added to that knowledge." The captain's words were backed up by immediate action. Human medical teams began treating wounded alien soldiers. Human engineers started repairing damaged infrastructure on conquered worlds. Human scientists began sharing breakthrough technologies that could solve problems aliens had struggled with for centuries. Atlas made one final broadcast that reached every inhabited world in the galaxy. The AI's voice was warm and inviting, like a professor welcoming new students to class. Humanity would like to thank the Galactic Confederation for providing us with the most comprehensive education in galactic warfare, technology, and politics that any species has ever received. We were truly excellent students and we learned our lessons well. Now we're curious to see who among you would like to learn what happens when humans apply that same dedication and creativity to the arts of peace, cooperation, and mutual advancement. The Sci Galaxy would never again make the mistake of celebrating humanity's defeat. They had learned far too late that humanity's greatest victory wasn't winning the war through superior firepower or tactics. Their greatest victory was convincing their enemies that they had already lost, while secretly preparing to become something far more powerful and sophisticated than anyone had imagined possible. The age of human weakness was over, but the age of human wisdom was just beginning.